Chair Lady. Mr. Secretary, what do you think of Code Pink?
I think that there are very passionate people who are expressing deep felt feelings. I may disagree with their views. I respect the right of people to make known their views. That's what this country is all about, of course, to do it in a peaceful way, to do it in ways that don't disrupt the ability to have a conversation, an engagement. But I know that people are, for the most part, motivated by deep felt feelings, beliefs, and passions.
Well, I disagree with them when I'm crossing the street and a lady tells me they're going to kill my wife and daughter. So I think y'all need to rethink your supporter groups like that. Do you believe the Afghanistan withdrawal was a success?
I believe that the president did the right thing in ending America's longest war.
You know, Staff Sergeant Ryan Canals, his family's a constituent of mine, was killed there, and we were given testimony, and this has been told many times, but the Marine sniper had the suicide bomber in his sights twice, and we're told that leadership, State Department both canceled that his ability to take out that suicide bomber and 13 brave Americans, I believe.
State Department has nothing to do with that. We don't give orders to the military. I know that.
You advise the military?
We don't advise the military. We don't give orders to the military.
Are you in contact with the military?
Of course. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Should we be paying taxes to the Taliban?
We don't pay taxes to the Taliban, as I think we were discussing with your
Mr. Secretary, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction has found at least $10.9 million of U.S. taxpayer money was paid to the Taliban in the form of taxes since the withdrawal of 2021. Are you saying that they're not telling the truth?
Yeah, what happens is this, Congressman. We provided life-saving, desperately needed assistance to NGOs and the United Nations, which is spent in Afghanistan, $2 billion. Of that, according to the report, about $10 million, or 0.5%. Yes,
$10 million, maybe not a lot to you, sir, but I can guarantee the people in Tennessee that's a heck of a lot of money. That's a heck of a lot of money. And to brush it off as a minuscule amount, I think just shows how out of touch you are with the American people. That was a statement. That wasn't a question. You provided aid to Gaza, which was then stolen by Hamas. How many terrorist groups are we funding or supplying with aid?
None.
None. You're here to tell me that none of this money is flowing into.
We are not funding them. We're not supplying them. When it comes to humanitarian assistance in Gaza, there have been instances where Hamas has seized the assistance, but it's not being done, and ask the Israelis, in a systematic way. To the extent that assistance is being diverted, typically it's because people are so desperate that they self-distribute the convoys. There have been incidents where it's been Hamas.
Self-distribute? You mean Hamas stops the convoy and steals it, and then it gets desperate
people.
And the people and their leadership in Qatar or Qatar, whichever the case may be.
Yes, and that was actually Israel's policy for a decade. In fact, the administration.
Let me ask you this: Why are you allowing?
Made clear that was a big mistake.
I'm going to be a jerk here and
please go ahead.
Reclaim my time. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Why are you allowing Iran to sell so much dadgum oil?
We're working every day to cut that off. I mentioned earlier that we've sanctioned more than 200 entities and individuals. We blocked more than 50 ships. We continue to look for others. We're working to deflag the ships, and it's an effort that we're making.
Well, President Biden has lessened the sanctions on Iraq oil sales in February of 2021. Since then, it's been estimated Iran has made an additional $100 billion from selling oil. They were a bankrupt country, basically, when you all took over, and now they're literally rolling in it, and they're exporting that terror with
if you look at their economic situation, I don't think that accords with the facts. And the fact of the matter is we haven't lifted a single sanction against Iran, and we continue to work to cut off the oil, the petrochemicals.
Well, how can Iran be selling 1 million more barrels of oil per day than in 2020?
Well, they're determined to do whatever they can, and we're working to make sure that wherever we can deal with that.
Well, I appreciate that, but the time for Iranian appeasement is over, Mr. Secretary. The administration's policy towards the Middle East have not only made our allies in the Middle East less safe, but it also has made the U.S. homeland less safe. Iran is far richer now than it was 4 years ago. Nobody can argue with that. You can say all the statistics don't lie, just statisticians, and I believe you're following in their footsteps. And they are using this money to sponsor terrorism. Look around you, Mr. Secretary. Your plan is not working. Again, I go back to my original statement about Afghanistan. A young man lost his life. Every day at my farm, I drive out on the street named after Staff Sergeant Ryan Canals. His life was life was taken short. 13 brave Americans should be here today by a failure on your all's part. I yield back, Lady Chair.
Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from